Shazad Latif as Lieutenant Ash Tyler and Sonequa MartinGreen as First Officer Michael Burnham in Episode 7 of Star Trek Discovery. Credit Michael Gibs. Warning: this recap includes spoilers for Episode 7 of Star Trek Discovery. Time travel is what makes Star Trek tick. There are dozens of examples across all the series and movies, according to this Memory Alpha fan site. Discovery was bound to use this trope, and, smartly, the show employed its strongest guest actor to star in that key episode, Rainn Wilson, reprising the beloved character of Harry Mudd from an earlier episode of Discovery. Mudd has a special device that plays the same 30 minutes of the cruise lives over and over again. Before the plot explanation distracts us, let's just acknowledge that Mudd in a time loop is simply fantastic. His triumphant cries of glee include "There really are so many ways to blow up this ship, it's almost a design flaw," and when asking Capt. Gabriel Orca Jason Isaacs how many times Mudd killed him in the time loop, 53, but who's counting, it never gets old. The most bizarre aliens of Star Trek. The time loop, one could call it Gormagander Day, generally goes like this. Crew members are in the middle of a party when Michael Burnham, Sonequa MartinGreen and Shazad Latif Ash Tyler get called to the bridge. Turns out there's a Gormagander, a sort of space whale, we're told, swimming by the ship that appears to be in medical distress. An aside: if this space whale moniker is supposed to be a subtle tip to the space-traveling whales and alien whale-calling spaceship in the hilarious time travel movie Star Trek For the Voyage Home 1986, please give this script writing team a lifelong supply of whatever non-alcoholic drink Vulcans enjoy. Anyway, the USS Discovery has to beam this creature on board under provisions from Starfleet's Endangered Species Act. The readings on the Gormagander are funky, and it's because Mudd, a rascally character who was unveiled to fans in the original series 19,661,969, and who appeared in Episode 5 of Discovery played by Wilson, is hiding inside, along with some equipment. In every time loop, he emerges in some fashion, takes control of Discovery, runs around the ship looking for the secrets to its spore drive to sell to the Klingons, and then blows Discovery up when his 30-minute time window expires. The Star Trek Discovery cast is full of Trek fans. The humor in this situation was mostly solid, but the repetitive nature of the episode sometimes dragged down the pace. I've seen the famous time loop movie Groundhog Day 1993 many times, no pun intended, and the script writers there definitely kept the fresh factor higher within the repeating story challenge, but Discovery at least wisely borrows a page from this movie and includes a romantic challenge, which helps keep the show interesting. Turns out Burnham and Tyler are just about ready to admit their like for each other, but Burnham, being raised in Vulcan society, isn't a great one for subtlety. When her friend, Cadet Sylvia Tilly Mary Wiseman, tries to hook up Tyler and Burnham at the party, Burnham keeps calling it inappropriate, which doesn't go over well with Tyler. In later time loops, fortunately, she stops repeating that mistake. The key to unlocking the time loop lies with Lt. Stamets Anthony Rapp, who, as you may have picked up from the Spore Drive episodes earlier this season, has special tardigrade DNA embedded within him to help make the ultra-fast transportation system beam Discovery quickly around the galaxy. Mudd can't figure out that Stamets is the Spore Drive's secret, no matter how many times the villain blows up Discovery or makes witty comments about taking over the ship's systems. And Stamets' DNA modification means he exists outside of the time loop that Mudd created, so he can warn other crew members. Naturally, it takes time for Stamets to convince the skeptical Burnham, and there's only 30 minutes in each loop for him to talk to her and for the crew to take action. But Stamets finds a way to get Burnham listening. We'll let you watch the episode to find out the details. With experience and practice, the crew finally confronts Mudd in plenty of time before the loop ends. The top 10 Star Trek technologies. You would think that after all this havoc and Mudd's many murders, even though those events are erased in each iteration of the time loop, the crew would want some sort of horrible vengeance, but instead, they bring Mudd to the waiting arms of a woman, Stella Grimes, who he ran away from in his past. Grimes says she's just fine with Mudd's winning personality and many debts. And the Discovery crew lets Mudd go, as long as he stays with Grimes and out of the Federation's business. Stella's dad is also involved in the transaction, but his paternalistic presence was pretty superfluous. We don't get to hear what happened to the Gormagander, but presumably, it's being held secure on board until it can heal and be dropped off somewhere safe. Now, we're just one episode away from the mid-season break. Burnham has a solid place on the USS Discovery, and as she points out in closing narration, her adventures have introduced her to a person, Tyler, that she never would have met before the mutiny. Finally, we're seeing some character growth. Just one episode left before the mid-season break. Stay tuned here to see how Episode 8 turns out. Follow us at space.com, Facebook and Google. Original article on space.com.